Part 2. Now soar, my muse, on fancy's towering wing. Raise, loudly raise, the bold descriptive strain. The beauties of the boundless landscape sing, stretched far and wide o'er many a vast domain. Here let the painter curse his vanquished hand. Here let the poet drop his useless quill. Far, far, the scenes which now our eyes command outdo the poet's and the painter's skill. Here fancy's self is lost in wild amaze, and flutters like the dying evening gale, nor knows she which shall fix her wandering gaze, the towering mountain or the winding vale. The taste of man, though varied as his face, in all its various forms this prospect warms. At once he views, from this enchanting place, all nature's infinitely varied charms. Does one delight to view the silver stream? Here let him stand and feast his ravished soul, while winding rivers sparkling in the beam, in sweet meanders through the landscape roll. Do spreading lakes another's fancy please? Then let him come and view this matchless scene, for lakes that emulate the very seas, bedecked with flowery islands, hence are seen. Do fertile valleys please another's taste, or flowery meadows viewed with crystal rills, 10,000 acres in rich verdure dressed, are laid by streamlets from the circling hills? Do rural seats or cultured landscapes please, or peaceful hamlets scattered through the glade? On this blessed summit, seated at your ease, such numberless before your eyes are laid. Do stately woods or shaggy forests charm? The matchless pine with admiration fills, while spreading forest the vast fancy warm, wide scattered over 1,000 endless hills. Do awful scenes delight another's eye, and nature in majestic garb arrayed? Then hither, hither, quickly let him hie, for nature's loftiest scenes are here displayed. The giant mountains tipped with glittering snow, which hither by the first north wind was driven, look down disdainful on the clouds below, and prop the azure canopy of heaven. Rocks upon rocks in horrid grandeur piled, with threatening mien overhang the trembling mead. Cliffs reared on cliffs in huge confusion wild, here strike the shuddering fancy almost dead. Oh, for the genius of this rapturous scene, to guide the wanderings of the wildered muse! For sure some genius bright, some power unseen, here holds domain in majesty recluse. Lo, yonder shining on the scented gale, what mighty form now wings its liquid way, majestic soars above the painted veil, and braves the radiance of the beaming day. Ah, 'tis the roving pirate of the rock, come from his airy den in quest of prey. See how he hovers o'er yon bleating flock, to seize and bear the tender lambs away. The eagle, no, I rave, this phantom bright, whereon the most ecstatic colours glow, as it draws nigh, bedims the dazzled sight, and now it perches on the mountain's brow. Behold, the form seraphic now advance, shall fancy dare attempt the charms to sing, whose brightening splendours the rapt soul entrance, or shall she cower and droop her vanquished wing? No, let her soar and try her utmost art, to deck a matchless form with grace supreme. Come, heavenly muse, thy friendly aid impart, 'tis glory even to fail in such a theme. What words unheard of shall the muse supply, to paint this beauteous daughter of light, who full in view now fills a ravished eye, a goddess heavenly or an angel bright? A figure human, but surpassing far, the fairest form of famed Circassia's plain, majestic as the mighty god of war, but mild her look, like Cynthia serene. A flowing vesture of a purple dye, in easy waving folds around her throne, half veils her limbs from the astonished eye, and girds her waist bound with an azure zone. In careless plait over her left shoulder laid, the fluttering garment wantons on the gale. Her swelling bosom bare is half displayed, and half concealed by a transparent veil. Her polished neck fair as the snow-white down of purest swans which swim the crystal tide, shines through her curling locks of glossy brown, by love-sick zephyrs gently cast aside. Upon her cheek the rose bloom of youth supports the lilies of her temples fair. Her sparkling eyes speak innocence and truth. Her brow serene betrays no mark of care. A smile ineffable, in which combined sweet majesty and awful meekness shine, displays the noble and the generous mind that greatly animates this form divine. A garland wove of all the glowing flowers that deck the wood, the garden, or the plain, shades her fair brow from Phoebus' scorching powers, and strives to emulate her charms in vain. Pale is the rose contrasted with a cheek, and dead the violet to the shining veins, which creep like azure threads upon her neck, whose matchless white the purest lily stains. Stop, roving fancy, whither art thou hurled? The goddess speaks, awhile remit thy song. Let thy expanding sails be now unfurled, to hear the flowing accents of her tongue. Fond youth, forbear to delegate as mine that heavenly title not for me designed. I am no goddess, nor of race divine, though far above the rank of humankind. I am the genius of these towering hills, these woods, these rocks, and endless winding dales, these crystal rivers and transparent rills, which murmur sparkling through the flowery vales. Commissioned from on high, I guard this scene from mischiefs dire, and ills of various name. I sow sweet peace and innocence serene, and spread protection over the humankind. Devana is the name by which I'm called among the genii of my kindred train, for we are numberless, yet each installed the governess of a distinct domain. Though far above the reach of vulgar eye, our bright abodes, remote from earth, we choose. We come from purest regions of the sky, when fondly called to aid the votive muse. The grateful head the muse submissive bowed, but wonder all her vocal powers unstrung, in silence listening to the strains that flowed so sweetly from the lovely stranger's tongue. The genius paused, and raising to the sky her eyes, which beamed with an enlivening ray, she seemed to beg assistance from on high, and thus resumed the sweet descriptive lay. To be continued.